First of all, welcome all of you to episode 5 of Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. This is our December show, and my guests here are Ranger Boy from the Forum. Well, that's what he's known on as there, otherwise known as James. Welcome, James.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, more than welcome. And a returnee in the shape of he's now calling himself Woody, but it's Joel Frazee, who was on one of our earlier shows. Was it the first one?
It was the first one, yeah. Good to be back.
And we all had good fun learning what the hell we were doing on the Zoom at that point. So a very warm welcome to you, especially as you are standing in for my stand-in. So you're very grateful to have you.
Oh, I'm not even first reserve, I'm second reserve.
Something like that. Okay, so what I thought we'd do is start off as usual, by going through all the various matches that have been played since we last had an episode. And the first one on the board is QPR against Luton. That was on Saturday, 20th of November. Hopefully we can cast our minds back that far. And this was yet another match that was selected by Sky. We were 6th in the table versus 11th. And the last 5 games for both sides had very mixed results. So on top of that, there was always going to be an edge to the game, because this was Luton after all, but also reasonably because of our table status. So as it turned out, the match result was a clear-cut 2-0 to the R's, for which I am eternally grateful, with Willock lobbing over a superb punt over the top of the goalie in the 9th minute, and that was followed up by Austin scoring one of his rare goals in the 54th minute. But that's not the full story, I feel. So James, was this a predicted result as far as you're concerned, and the sort of performance that justified it?
Performance-wise, I was very pleased with it. Everyone played well. I'm struggling to think of anyone who didn't play too well. I can't remember, but I think I predicted a draw for this one, simply because Luton aren't a bad team.
No. And Woody, do you think that we should have been satisfied with the draw against such an awkward side?
Yeah, it was always going to be a difficult game, and home to Luton, being on Sky as well, the added complication. But yeah, we didn't get off to a good start from memory, did we? The Luton were on top the first 10 minutes. So yeah, always take 3 points against them.
Yeah, I mean, right. I think I should say right from the start, as far as I'm concerned, we didn't play that well. I felt perhaps we'd come to expect the R's to always perform their flowing, possession-based football in such an attacking way that we would always be getting it to a very fine standard. As truth comes about, we only did enough really to justify a win. So, 2-0 was actually icing on the cake as far as I was concerned. So, okay, that one we could finish there, but I don't think we should, because I think we should mention the crowd trouble. For me, I was really surprised by that. Really surprised. I mean, I've sat over in the naughty boys area of the stadium before now, and mind you, that was by mistake. I was surprised how virulent some of the fans were in the way they goaded the opposition up at the school end, which is obviously why they were put there, I think. But I was very, very surprised by the trouble afterwards. Were you?
For me, I wasn't there. I haven't got the season ticket anymore. But they let both sets of fans out together, don't they? And that used to really annoy me when I had the season ticket down there. Everywhere I go away, you get kept in. But to let both sets of fans out on an evening game, it was asking for trouble, I think. I think questions are being asked, but they will open it out.
James, any thoughts?
I've got mixed thoughts on this, because I agree that both teams shouldn't be allowed at the same time. However, given the size of the concourse in the away end, I do know that I think it's legally not allowed to keep them in because it's such a small concourse. So they really haven't got a choice but to let people out at the same time there.
So it's the concourse that's the problem, is it? I saw this thing from Lee Hoo's. It was on the Hoops and Dreams forum this evening. I was looking, and I saw that Lee Hoo's has said that we're not legally allowed to keep them in.
Agreed.
But I'm a bit at odds over this, because surely
it's a very small It is a very smell. Sorry for interrupting. It's a very small concourse. As you know, we're recording this the day after the Stoke game. I've got a good friend who's a Stoke fan. I had the game yesterday. He showed me a photo of the concourse. I couldn't believe how narrow it was. First way, we all complain that the concourses in the home stands are very small and compact. They're large comparison to what the away one is.
Fair enough. I mean, the only thing I thought was that if it was safe enough for them to stay in the stadium at the school end and watch a game, surely it would be safe enough for them to stay there a little while longer, as they would if there was extra time, or, you know, like in a cup match or something. Surely they could have waited 30 minutes. That would allow the police then chance to move away from the QPR side and help reinforce those at the other end. Just a thought. You know, because we should be protecting fans.
I agree. I'm not sure why they're not allowed to, but I agree there should be something in place to help protect people, though. I do agree with that.
Oh, well, anyway, we'll find out eventually. Somebody will come along and tell us, I'm sure, at some point. Maybe that's one to ask the club if they appear on here as a special guest. Okay, on to our second game, which was the following Wednesday, and it was against Huddersfield, the Terriers. And again, we were at home, which is a big plus. So could the R's add to their weekend win against a side that was only one place behind them in 7th place? This turned out to be one of those games that you love to watch, as long as you're not a supporter of one of the teams. So Huddersfield like to get the ball out from the back too, just like us. So, you know, they love to pack their defence in possession. Very much the old school way of doing that, but very effective. And it's been no surprise that snapped up shots from QPR kept missing the net or bouncing off bodies. It was quite a congested goal area. In the end, it wasn't until the 80th minute before the superbly worked Willett cross found the unlikely head of Mr. Amos for his first goal for the club and a 1-0 victory. So it was a superb one. So starting with you this time, Woody, were you there for this one for a start? And did you see this on TV or video instead? And what do you feel about the match?
No, I wasn't there. I don't get to home games now. I live up in St Neots in Cambridgeshire. It was one of those games. I saw it on the telly. Hard to break down. We did well to get 3 points out of that. I think that Huddersfield are going to go away to a lot of teams and work out a draw.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
There won't be many teams that beat them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it was a really hard-fought match, full of drama, and obviously one of those ones that the Sky scheduler must have been rubbing his hands with glee, having picked it, you know. So on the basis of that, we moved up to 4th on goal difference over Coventry, who were in 5th. So a really good win, James, hopefully you saw the game actually there. And
I was there for this one. I was out of isolation and I was back for this one.
I thought so. Okay. And so did you enjoy it?
Short answer, no. It wasn't the best game to watch. It was just frustrating, tight, ugly, but ultimately the kind of game you'd love to win. It just feels so much more special to win that kind of match.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Did you have a particular man of the match for that one? Unfair.
I'll probably have to say he's Willock for that one, because literally how he managed to open that up for the cross without to the goal. Although we should thank the Huddersfield defence for giving Amos the freedom of West London to head it in.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Oh dear. Okay, on to match 3, where the R's were away to Derby, a side that only a few days before had drawn away from home with high-flying Fulham, so not to be sneezed at. Would the R's scupper their chances of staying up? Would the R's make the potential of the new owners walk away, perhaps? Would would Mr. Rooney still be buying that granny flat? So after a hard-fought victory against the Terriers, I was wondering how the R's were going to set up and how they were going to battle against what effectively at the moment is a relegation side that is really far, far better packed with quality than a relegation side normally would be. And we succumbed to an early goal following a breakthrough that left Dickey in the original postcode whilst the striker disappeared. There were harsh words apparently said in the R's dressing room at half-time, I'm led to believe. And we played a hell of a lot better in the second half. It really was an improvement, you know, despite Wallace going off injured, which was a real blow for us. And Willock's class goal got us level. And the late arrival of Mr. Gray for Charlie Austin added to the pressure on Derby. He really did make a difference. And Gray said afterwards that his injury time goal was his best ever. And I, for one, I'm certainly not going to argue with that. It was superb. So, James, did you think this was a fair result or a win that we got despite the performance?
I'd say overall we deserved it, because for the first 20 so minutes, we weren't the best. We were shaky, got caught exposed for that goal. Good finish from Lawrence, in fairness. Yeah. However, we grew into it a bit more as half went on. Unlucky to not score in the first half. Took two goals very well, and I'd say we deserved the points in the end.
So that brought us into third place. Bit of a heady one to be in, isn't it?
Crazy for us.
Okay, Woody, so Willett was made man of the match by Sky. Do you agree? And did anyone else sparkle for you?
Yeah, Willock's been I'm a big fan of Willock. I do like him. From last season, I think it's just brought us something extra. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that was the match where all the other fixtures around us, the results went the right way for us, didn't they? Everyone else kind of drew or lost. So it was a bit of a whammy getting the 3 points after being down. Disappointing in that game was I think we struggled against Lawrence because he had the freedom of the pitch. He was just turning up everywhere.
Yeah,
we didn't deal with that, and that was just a bit of a shame for me at the start. But yeah, second half was completely different, wasn't it? And it was one of them games I thought, oh, we're going to get this goal or not, and we got them. Gradually wore them down.
I think it worked there, didn't it, for once? Perhaps we'll talk about this later on. In fact, I know we're going to talk about it later on. I mean, the subs, did they work for you? Odebayo came on for Wallace, didn't he? I think that was when he was injured in the 52nd minute.
Yeah.
And Gray in 75th, yeah.
Did we get a couple of injuries in that game? We had to change the first half. It was the one.
It's that time of the year when we start getting these happening, the little niggly ones, and then the suspensions kick in just after that. So, in a way, we've done reasonably well, but
always worry when we have to do two subs in the first half. It doesn't leave us much in the second. But yeah, I think it's great when we've got some of these players coming off the bench for the last sort of 20 minutes. Another dimension. But the Derby game, I'm sure we had two subs in the first half.
I can't remember. And without going back to my diary where I write everything down religiously, I can't tell you. Okay, so that was a really good result. And then we were back at the Kieran Prince Foundation Stadium for another potentially tough opponent, Stoke. So it proved as well. They were a very tough opponent, despite 17 corners, and a penalty, plus numerous chances from late addition Thomas as a sub. We lost 2-0. Without scoring, we also lost our non-goal scoring, our goal scoring record in every match since the year dot, I think, or something like that. So that was a really sad record to lose, but also I think it was the frustration of it and all. So back to you, James, for your thoughts on this match. Perhaps you can focus upon the defence.
Before I do that, I'll point out we've just come out. We've got Rotherham at home in the cup.
Not again. Oh,
Rotherham
gosh.
at home.
Who are doing very, very well in League One.
True. It'll be a difficult match.
Mm.
Personally,
Okay.
I'd rather be away. I like Rotherham away. It's a good day out normally. Be away to them.
Right. So do you want to give us your thoughts on the defence against Stoke?
As good as our centre backs can be on their day, all that did, especially with the first goal, as well as the Derby game, is expose how slow our centre backs are. So they're great if the ball's crossed into the area, but as we've seen now the last two games, if it's a through ball and people are running away from them, they've got no hope of catching them up. All they're going to do is dive in, take a red card, and pray that no one else follows.
Yeah, I'd go along with that, and I would also say that of the three, Barbe was probably the most effective, on the Stoke match.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Actually, I've got to say that because thinking about it, I made him man of the match. What do you think? Woody, what do you think about the defence?
Yeah, they got a bit exposed, don't they? I mean, I was going to touch on this a bit later on the call, but I think we have an extra attacking player in our team that perhaps leaves the back three open. Yeah, we haven't got a strong centre midfield blocking in front of them, and that the door opened, didn't it, against Stoke? And I'm not surprised with Stoke. They're a funny side, aren't they? And they're good at not kicking lumps out, but they're all around the pitch. Their game management was far, far better than ours. And not that I want to see us playing football the way Stoke play it. And that, is it Joe Allen in the middle? That's not football for me. And yeah, good luck. They got the 3 points. Bye bye. We won't be playing you again this season.
Well, should we talk about their strikers? I mean, the attack was how can I say this? Sporadic. Perhaps that's a nice word to use, but when they did, it was very effective. I mean, I think they had 2 attacks, 2 shots on goal, and two of them were goals. So it was pretty effective. You've got to say that.
They were happy when they scored 1 goal. They weren't that interested in scoring a second. They were more interested in just stopping us by whatever means. And yeah, we couldn't overcome that. Yeah,
I mean, I came back on Sunday from I was at Hash House Harriers Trail, running that, or walking that actually. I sneaked off early to come back for this one, and I wish I hadn't. For some reason, after this game, I felt as if I had been mugged. I know that sounds unreasonable given the way we played and how good Stoke were in terms of their finishing, but I genuinely felt as if I'd been robbed. We really did face up to the limitations of our side, which includes the lack of depth that we've got, really. And what really highlighted it for me was the poor heading ability we've got up front. Without Dykes, we don't have the ability to control that ball and do something with it. It just shows you how effective Dykes is up front, and in reverse, how effective we are when Dominic Ball's back there as the enforcer. Sam Field was put in a different role against Stoke. I'm not sure it worked.
Out of position, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so they've said on the forum that they thought he was playing as a wing back. He may well have been. Whatever it was, it did not work. Not for me. And unfortunately, we're relying therefore upon the services of Johansson to pick it up from defence and feed it through to attack. And he didn't have that good a game. He seems to have one good one, one bad one, or one indifferent one, should I say? Not bad.
Very hot and cold, isn't he, these days?
Yeah, it's true. So I guess my last question about this must be, do you think that Austin should have started, given that Gray, his last touch virtually the game before was a fantastic goal?
He did start.
Go on, James.
I'm not sure if he should have started or not, because it depends how you want to play against Stoke. Because if you want to pump balls into the box like we were trying to do, then he's the person you want in there to head them in. unfortunately, Ben Wilmot had the game of his life against us.
He did.
However, if you want to start playing more direct, running at them, then Gray would be the more appropriate target. Unfortunately, I couldn't work out what our game plan was. There were times we were lumping balls in, times we were trying to run through them. I couldn't work it out half the time.
No, and it was a ponderous build-up every single time, wasn't it? There was no sudden spark move. I was thinking about this. Gosh, it just shows you. I was in the bed this morning thinking about this and what we were going to say about Stoke, and it crossed my mind. The previous night, I'd seen Man City playing the same sort of football. They bring it out from the back. They move it around an awful lot. A lot of W's backwards and forwards, as they move it along. But the difference is suddenly they burst into pace and they deliver into the box, and it's a very fast finish. We don't have that. That's the bit we don't have. That's the bit we're missing, I think. Woody, any thoughts?
I think we're pretty good going forward. We've got a lot of attacking players, and as I said earlier, I think we have an extra attacking player than most formations. I think. Well, I do enjoy watching us play. I mean, we've had the results during November. We've had some tough games, I think. But, it's not all doom and gloom. Crikey, where are we? We're in the playoff places. We've got one of the lowest budgets in the top half of the league, and I do think we play decent football. And I've watched that all day long over what Stoke play. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's top of the table or halfway down. I'd much rather watch how we play at the moment. And Christ, we've seen some dross over the years.
Yeah, James is nodding like mad, and I totally agree with you as well. Yeah. I mean, I look at some of the teams we play and I think, gosh, I could not go and support them. I just couldn't. It would break my heart. Anyway, so after those 4 league games, our record was 3-1 and 1 lost. We didn't draw any. Our position is now 5th in the table. We got 9 points out of those 4 matches.
Which was good going that day.
In all honesty, it's not bad, is it? I know we're moaning about Stoke. Well, I am anyway. So we scored 5 goals. We conceded 3. So we're on a +2 for this. And if you extrapolate these figures out, it would mean at the end of the season we'd be getting 77 points. I think that would put us into the playoffs. Just about.
Tight. Tight.
It would be tight, especially the way it's going. Looking at the way that the table is going at the moment, there's an awful lot in that mid-table position and very few points separating them. So, anyway, any of those 4 teams, any that really surprised you, perhaps? I'm not going to talk about Stoke again. Any that shocked you, perhaps? There was no easy ones, I don't think, of those 4. Do you?
No. To get 9 points is really good going out of it.
Okay, so last month's guests, Chad and Dave, refused to sing a duet, but they did put down their tables for what they thought the results were going to be, their prediction tables. And against Luton, Huddersfield, Derby and Stoke. Let's see. Chad got one exactly right. Dave got 1 exactly right and 1 correct win. I got an exact as well. So on the balance of his extra win, Dave Barton gets the crown for last month. So not bad, no. So what we'll do is I think we'll venture on to the prediction side as well, whilst we got the chance. So first game that we're going to go into is the away game on the 11th of December against Sheffield United. James, your thoughts on this and prediction on this match against the Blades? Difficult one?
It'll be difficult, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good. It'll be a decent night out. I'm looking forward to it. Although the downside is because of my train, I've now got a whole day in Sheffield to kill before going to this. So that's an annoyance for me. However, it'll be a difficult game. Passionate home crowd, they'll be up for it. And they've started a turnaround thing done recently under Heckingbottom, new manager. I wouldn't complain with a point here. I'll take a draw.
Okay, I'll go with it. 1-1.
Yeah, let's go 1-0. Yeah, sure, go with that.
Okay, and Woody, do you agree?
My heart's agreeing. 1-1. My head's going. I think we'll lose this 1-0. I think you hit the nail on the head there, James. I think the passionate crowd behind Sheffield United is going to take them over the line, I think.
Well, this is really good. They're sitting just above mid-table, and the Blades are stringing together a lot of good wins at the moment. And obviously they've got a quality side, so they'll be very hard to beat, I think. A lot will depend upon the player availability for us, I think. And I've gone with James with a 1-1 draw.
Head and heart.
So, yeah, best I can hope for is a draw with James on this one. And you could end up being the winner on this. I hope not, though. I really hope not, Woody. Right. The next one, a week later, so we've got a nice break of a week, is against Swansea. They're also challenging for the playoffs. So can I ask you, Woody, for your thoughts and prediction?
I've got a feeling Swansea don't really travel that well, do they? So I'm quite optimistic that we'll get a win here. So I've got this as a 2-0. Yeah, I don't think they travel very well. I think after the Stoke game and the Sheffield United game, you know, the defence is going to have tightened up, I think. Yeah. Okay,
I can't argue on this. Swansea seem to have gone recently the other way to the Blades. They've hit a purple patch recently, but knowing our luck, they'll probably use this match to change things around. So they are currently languishing in mid-table, although they've got a squad that really does ooze quality. On paper, this is a win for the home side. So I'm going for a 1-0 for us on this one. James, what do you think?
Well, firstly, I think I should mention how nice it is to finally have a Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah.
I thought we months without one. However, I agree it'll be a difficult game. Although I'm a lot happier facing Swansea now Andre Ayew's left, personally. So obviously without that goal threat, that'd be a big bonus to us, as well as everyone else in the league. It'll be a difficult game. I'd like to think we can bounce back and get the result. I'll go with 2-0 to us.
Oh, gosh. Right, I'm the odd man out here then. Okay, so you've gone for 2-0. Woody's gone for 2-0, and I've gone for 1-0. We've all gone for a victory. Let's hope this is not the kiss of death. I mean, who knows? It's so difficult predicting in the Championship. It really is. Right, that brings us round to continuing on our theme of moving away from 2 games per week. We've got another rest until the Monday, the 27th of December, so part of the Christmas festivities. We see Bournemouth at the Kieran Prince Foundation Stadium. Another high flyer. Bournemouth is another example of a top team that should aim to be we should at least be aiming to draw against, or perhaps even sneak a win if we're going to show our credentials for the playoffs. But they will be a very hard side, I feel, to draw against. Recently, they have been drawing games themselves. For some strange reason, they've taken to doing lots of draws. But as I said, they've got quality throughout the squad. My prediction is a 2-2 draw. James, do you think I'm being optimistic?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. It all depends how the game goes. Because obviously, I'm looking back at when we played them early in the season. If we played like we did in the first half, I think a draw is probably the best we can do. However, if we play like we did for the second half against them, I think we could beat them. Because obviously, at their place, they're a good team. At our place, it'll be on our terms. Hopefully, be a good game. Obviously, it's difficult to keep them quiet, but I think we can get the result. Let's go with something a bit crazy for this one. Let's go with 3-2 QPR.
Woof. Okay, I've noted that down, 3-2. You know what? You're right though about that second half. There was a hell of a difference there in the way we played, and they were beatable in that second half. So yeah, I hope you're right. It would be a great game, wouldn't it? 3-2. Okay, so what do you reckon?
Right, we've got a beg of spanners here because I think it's going to go Bournemouth's way 2-1. I think their front line is going to be too hot for us, and all the pressure we could put on them, we're susceptible to the break with their two forwards.
That's fair enough. I can't argue with that.
One of us is going to be right.
Hopefully, me.
Actually, you're right. You're right. We've gone for a home win, an away win, and a draw. You're absolutely right. One of us is going to be right, unless the game's abandoned, of course. So the last one of the year is against Bristol City. It's away. Tricky one, I would have thought. But James, do you see Bristol City as being a problem side that we're going to struggle against?
I'd like to think no, but probably yes, because Bristol City, I know aren't that good at home this season. So that probably means they'll be guaranteed a nice comfortable win against us. Especially as we never seem to do well away to Bristol.
No.
Although, who said that? I got wrong. Didn't we beat them win there last season behind the lockdown game? Chair scoring ahead, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that was because it was without the crowd.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the crowd this time.
So go on then. What are you going to go for?
Let's go with the result we should have got in the home game. Let's go with difficult game, but 2-0 QPR, as we should have beaten them the first time around. the true definition of daylight robbery for this season, that home game.
Woody, would you take us for a win?
Yeah, guaranteed Naki Wells is going to score, so I'm going 3-1.
3-1 to them or 3-1 to us?
To us.
Oh, just checking.
They're not great at home, and I think we could have them under the press, under the cosh a bit. Yeah,
I think I hope you're right. I must admit, they've proven in past seasons to be a difficult side for us. I'm really not quite sure why that is, but this season they're sitting mid-table and they're getting mixed results. So
the crowd aren't happy with some of their games as well. So if we can get a bit of pressure on them, crowd turn against them.
Well, my hope is that we get an early goal and that we go on to win 2-1.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm right.
Wells is just a consolation.
Yeah. We're man enough to shake his hand afterwards for just that scoring that one goal. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Back to Birmingham. It's an away game. It's after the New Year, so possibly hangovers in order for a lot of people. So, Woody, should we be looking at this as the first 2022 fixture? That we're going to start on a new template, a new model, a new winning streak?
Well, for win, lose or draw, I always look for Birmingham for a draw. But I'm expecting us to win this one. Well, so expecting is a bit harsh, isn't it? I'm hopeful that we would win this one. I feel like we've got too much for Birmingham if we turn up on the day. And 2-0. And I think we'll keep a clean sheet as well. I don't think we should be worried going away to Birmingham.
Good. That's good. All right. Yeah, I mean, Birmingham are sitting down below Bristol City at the moment and seem equally incapable at present to string along a number of victories. Having said that, I don't expect them to be easy to break down. They never are, especially at the back, you know. However, this is the sort of side that really we need to be ruthless against if we're to be taken as serious contenders for the playoffs. So despite this being at St Andrews Park, I'm also going for 2-0. So, James, are you going to buck the trend?
You see, going back to what I said before, this is such a QPR thing, isn't it? Team down the bottom, unable to do well, not getting wins along. Here comes QPR. A bit like Stoke in London with their record. I think I read it was 7.5 years. I don't in London, and along come QPR. However, I'm going to keep the trend going. I think we'll win. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. We'll be comfortable. 3-1 QPR.
Okay, that's cool. So it's 1-3. Okay.
Also, I somehow managed to get a ticket for this game this afternoon. With the new batch coming on sale at 2 o'clock, within 3 minutes, they're all sold out. I'm somehow managed to get one. So I'm buzzing.
You did very, very well. Very well.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
Good. We expect to hear you shouting at some point.
Oh, of course.
That would be good. Well, we've got a bit of time, so I was going to sort of just talk about the FA Cup draw that came out tonight, when we're doing the recording. QPR against Rotherham, thoughts on this?
Underwhelming.
Don't forget, they're top of the division, aren't they? So
Are they top now?
I think so, yeah.
They're top now.
Maybe wrong,
Wow.
but
I didn't realize they jumped that much. Wow.
oh, maybe maybe I've got it wrong. I can't use my laptop at the moment to check, but I thought we were going to be up against a tough one there. I mean,
It'll still be tough, to be fair.
we always struggle against them. Always. They're again another of these sides. Dare I say it, like Stoke, where you sort of are playing against a side at the back that knows how to head a ball, and will do everything they can to keep you out of the goal area. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult. And we come back to this perennial. So, who do you play? Do you play your best side or do you not?
Well, the way it's going, have we got an option? It's the way it's going. It's literally like we've got 15 players these days. So you either rotate and still play basically your first team, or you play your first team and have minimal players there. So unless you get players in quickly in January, I don't think you've got much choice with injuries and that.
You might be right. You might well be right. Thought crosses my mind. On Saturday, we didn't put out our full complement of subs, probably because
we had 6, didn't we?
Yeah, and I wondered, would you have put somebody from the development side in there just for the experience? I think I would have.
Just to sit on the bench and experience the atmosphere. Yeah.
It's then one tick in the box, isn't it? Against the idea about then when they actually have to play, they've done all the big noise, they've heard it all. Just a thought.
It's a good thought, to be fair. Give them a chance. Also, let them see what there is what the prize is to work for at the end of it.
Talking about the FA Cup draw for the third round, other than QPR Rotherham, notables I saw in there: Millwall against Crystal Palace. That's got to be a touch. Yeah.
That'll be fun for the net, please.
And Hull against Everton. That could be an interesting one for Hull. And then a really interesting one: Swansea against Southampton.
That's not on the telly.
Yeah, I would have thought so as well. Certainly on the southwest channels. Yeah, so I just thought they were quite interesting. I haven't put it down, but how do you think QPR Rotherham as a prediction? Any ideas?
Tight game, difficult one, and I for one haven't. During the break, I just said on the board, tight game, difficult one, and also haven't forgotten Sunderland. Tight game, we should have won, couldn't win, blew a great chance. I'm hoping this time we can learn our lessons and go one step further and get the results.
Would be nice.
And for me, it just depends what Wolverhampton wants to do, doesn't it? So he hasn't got many players to play around with. Is he going to risk a few that are sort of 70, 80, 90%, or is he going to leave them on the bench? We could have quite an odd lineup. That's my fear. If it goes to a replay, I don't fancy our chances. Yeah, I hope we can do it in the first game.
So a hesitant win for you, hesitant win from me. James?
Ugh. I think we might be going back to Rotherham for the replay of this. I'll go for 1-1 this one. Be a tight game. Although I think Warburton will take it seriously. He's shown with the League Cup that he takes the cup seriously. So hopefully it continues with this one.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And you never know. And you never know, Rotherham, if they're pushing promotion, looking like it's not up, would they really take it seriously, or would they maybe rest key players as well?
Who knows? It's possible. Yeah. Good point. So that brings us round to the question about Player of the Month. We've seen some good results, as we've already discussed, and some fine performances in amongst the problems. So who would be your Player of the Month and why? Starting with you, James, sadly, for you.
It's a difficult one because it's been a really good month, some really good results, and some fantastic performances. However, I think Willock's got to be the standout one, hasn't he? I mean, what's he done? He's basically got some fantastic results with some great assists, and really pushed on. He obviously won the Sky Bet Player of the Month as well, and I'll give it to him as well as that.
Woody, sounds like you're saying the same from the nods I hear coming.
I think he's had a cracking month. Yeah, he's a joy to watch when he gets the ball and starts running forward with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you've got to sort of mention in dispatches at least Barbe, who's continued match after match to deliver. I never sort of warmed to him at the beginning, but as he's progressed his relationship with the club, you can see that he puts his heart and soul into it. And again, against Stoke, when we had two of the back three were just not performing as well as they should have done, he was the one who was there doing the last-ditch saves and whatever. Truly so consistent and so good, I think. I've got a lot of time for him. And he's who scored match rating is 7, which is really high. Adoma is another one. He's made that right wing back position his own, if truth be known. And he's not meant to be there, but my gosh, he does a really, really good job. Chair has consistently provided the magic in the midfield. And he's got a great work ethic. He really has. And we do play better when he's in the side. There's no getting away from it. Dunn has come in as Device's replacement when he got injured, and had done. He'd really impressed me, to be quite honest with you, up until the Stoke game, which is one of his less favourite games, I would suggest. Dazelle strung along a lot of good passes in the last few games. He really has matured, I think. You know, you can see the development of him. It reminds me a little of how Chair was last season. You can see somebody emerging who's turned into a class player. He's not there yet. He's still learning. But he is showing more and more understanding of the game. And I think that's the other thing that Johansson has got. Johansson understands what's going to happen when the ball's in a certain place and somebody's playing the ball. He knows what's going to happen. And Dazelle will get there eventually, I feel. The trouble with Dazelle is he faded also in the Stoke game. It wasn't one of his better games either, sadly. So for me, it has to be Willock, the same as you two, because time after time he's delivered quality passes, quality dribbles, and pretty good goals. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with him. I think he's done excellent. He really has. So it'd be intriguing to see if anybody else comes up with another player who deserves it. But yeah, I think Sky's already said the same. Not that's always a great endorsement. Not looking at their Sky Team of the Month. But anyway, we're now moving on towards the January transfer window. So this is our chance before the actual window opens, and perhaps names start coming out in real earnest. And before people are actually signed, if any, that we talk about this. So we don't know exactly what Mark Warburton has said to Lee Hughes and Celez, you know, and what sort of begging bowl he was using. We don't know that, so we've got to guess. But I believe from the reports I'm getting is that he has been told there's going to be no money for purchases. It's just loans. So this is, for me, I think it's probably the wrong time of the year for that. But so Woody, we'll start with you, put you in the tough spot. If you were the manager, which areas would you want to strengthen? And also, almost as important, would you do it in January?
For me, I think keeping hold of players is the priority first, and that's, I think, where he needs to sort of focus on. I think there's 2 or 3 are kind of in the window. Keeping hold of them is the priority. Interesting one. I think if there's anything, for me, centre midfield, I feel like we need somebody strong. And I know we've got ball, but not for every game. And I get Warburton's method. He likes attacking football. But say we'd gone 1-0 up against Stoke, we needed then to bring someone on to bolster up the midfield. And I don't think we've got that at the moment. And then the other thing is it's the 2 fullbacks. But actually, I'd rather keep the fullbacks we've got because you can see they're passionate about being there. And I'd much rather have that than someone who's better. I much prefer to see the passion and the desire. So, yeah, priority number 1, keep what we've got. Centre midfield, ball winner, not to play every game, but to come on when we need bolstering.
So would Dominic Ball not fill that position?
Well, he does, doesn't he? But he hasn't been using him, so I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure why.
No, he's not injured, is he?
No, and the daft thing is that Field didn't look right against Stoke. It might be that he was in that left wing back position, although I'm not sure because he did move in field quite a bit. So I think he was probably trying to play near enough his normal position. In which case, that's a position the Ball could have filled and probably would have filled it better. He's really surprised me this season, how well he's played.
Yeah. I didn't know whether he'd been injured, but he's not, is he?
No. So,
no.
So would you have gone for another striker maybe on loan?
Well, I'm assuming we're keeping Andy Gray. He's end of season, I think. It's not the end of the year, is it? Got Andy Gray.
Yeah, I
think it's season. I think it's season, unless Watford recall him.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Let's not think about that. That could be interesting, couldn't it? James, what about you?
There are a few positions we really need to strengthen in. First and foremost, like I highlighted earlier, we need a centre-back with pace. Because at the moment, it's so easy for teams to play a through ball, young striker with a pace to burn, breeze through, and bang, goal. So we need something like that to help out. Maybe I'd say we need something on the striker because at the moment you got Gray, who's about 1 in 3, decent record. Yeah. At the same time, you got Austin, who I believe scored 2 league goals this season. Luton and Barnsley. Am I wrong? Was it? Am I messing off there?
That doesn't include penalties.
No, it's 2 in the cup against Everton, which was lovely at the time. And Dykes, what injury he got these days? Because the last 2 games he was meant to be assessed and on the verge of coming back, and still nothing. So is it long term? Is it something the club aren't telling us?
It has to be said that the club has changed under Mark Warburton. The openness that was there when the doc would suddenly appear at conferences and talk about what's going on, they've changed. They don't tell you now, and often what you get is actually disinformation, if anything. Yeah, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that exactly. I'm not saying that's wrong. I think that if you are deceiving the opposition, hey, I'm with that as well. But your point's well made. We don't know what's happening with Dykes. We really, really don't. Yeah.
Like has he got a serious injury that means he'll be out for the year? Has he got, and do we know, is it a recurring knock he's got? Could he maybe even have COVID? Maybe no one knows because the club aren't saying a word. So literally, who knows these days what it could be?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Dykes missing, Adoma, Device, obviously McCulloch,
Wallace as well.
and yes, Mr. Wallace as well, Braveheart. Yeah, you're absolutely right. These are all really in key positions. I'm not saying that Device is any faster than the other two centre backs. Barbie looks like Olympic sprinter compared to them. Yeah, and in all fairness, the chances of getting a centre back who happens to be a champion sprinter, they're pretty rare.
That costs a lot of money as well.
Well, Neda Manua is about the only one I can think of who consistently could sprint and beat the strikers and the midfield players in the sprint competitions. And I can't think of another one, to be honest, who's outside the Premier League. So anyway, so we have to expect injuries and suspensions that will impact our back three particularly, because as they're exposed, they're having to take the knocks and they're having to take the yellow cards, which are accumulating. So I feel that we may well have to consider Conor Masterson coming back and sitting on the bench. I can quite easily see that happening, which is no good for him.
At the same time, though, it could be right, because for Cambridge, he's doing very well. If he was to come back and come off the bench a few times and really progress in the Championship, it might work, it might not work. End of the day, it might be a gamble we'll have to take. But at Cambridge, he's doing very well in a tough league. So if he was to come back, if he was to get game time, I'll be for it.
I remember when he played, I can't remember which game it was, he played alongside Dickey, and the two of them were surging forward all the time. And it was Barbe who was staying back and providing the long diagonals from further back. And they were very effective. And Masterson at one stage, I think, was player of the month. But he doesn't seem to have, well, either Warburton feels that he needs to develop more or he's not in favour. And I'm not quite sure why. To me, I think he's certainly a good player. Would I go out and get somebody else instead of him? Probably not, to be honest with you. I would make sure that if his contract's going to be extended beyond January the 1st, that it says in there something along the lines of he is subject to an immediate callback if needed. Because I think if Device is not available, we need him. Now, I don't know if you can write that into a contract, but I would like to.
I think you can do, because obviously, who was it? Burnley did with Naki Wells, didn't they? Was it Burnley?
Yes, that.
And then sold him to Bristol. Was it Burnley?
Was it something like was the selling, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, not selling, but like still called him back though, wasn't it? Though.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock.
You can call back any player at any time. I'm sure.
Fair enough. I thought we might possibly be able to sign in blood or something. So the midfield for me is as such not a problem, in so much as we have enough numbers to cover that. I'm not saying necessarily cover it well. I take your point about having a defensive midfielder who's got quality. I do accept that. Up front is where I feel we've got a bit of a conundrum at the moment. We've got two out-and-out strikers who've not performed that well. And they are a good foil when they're there for Lyndon Dykes. So when you're playing the two up front, one of them and Lyndon Dykes, it works. But I suppose what I'm feeling is that we need to start seeing the signs of Charlie Austin and Andre Gray as they were once before. And if we're not, we're going to be in trouble. And trying to get a striker during the January window, I think is wishful thinking of a grand scale. I cannot see that happening. I think whatever happens, we're going to have to go with what's there. And I just hope that they come good. There are signs of it. Andre Gray seems to be sort of on about the fact that he's training harder and working harder. And Charlie Austin seems to have somehow got a monkey off his back. That I think was to do with his personal life more than anything else. So maybe he's going to come back all cylinders fine, you know, after Christmas and really do a great job. I just hope so, and I hope Lyndon Dykes is there as well. With regard to, go on.
He brings more to the game than just the goals. I know that's his job to get the goals, but when you see him, he's
Austin does,
yeah, and talking to players. I think he's been a big part of bringing some of the players on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think particularly Lyndon Dykes.
Yeah. He's not strongest mate this season, but you can see the rest of his gameplay is really helping everyone else, like you just said. Also, his movement is creating chances as well for the other players. For example, Derby got a great cross in for the equaliser, didn't he?
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, he certainly, and compared to Andrew Gray, he's moving back an awful lot more and helping out a lot more. The only disadvantage with that is that then puts him in the wrong position for the goal mouth. But yeah, you can't knock him for his work ethics, and the fact that he's not fast is not his fault. That's called age. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. So with regard to the other reason we should be using the transfer window, of course, is for future talent. You know, a chance to snap up somebody perhaps before one of the big clubs gets hold of him or something, or a chance for us to perhaps get somebody into the academy and get them moving for next season, if that's possible in that short of time. So I guess there's a chance they could find some new, sign up some new discoveries. But, you know, I don't know. I can't see it happening, to be quite honest with you. And go on.
Can we go and get someone from Scotland on trial this week?
Yes. Gosh, I can't remember. Yes.
Wasn't it? I've forgotten his name.
I can't remember his name either. Awful, isn't it?
Their game was called off, and they brought him down this week for a trial. Right? Yeah, not heard anything. Don't know where it went.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know he was on the trial this week. That's news to me in general.
Yeah. He certainly was down for a trial, but I don't know. We'll never know.
It was all last minute. Oh, I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, I keep saying McCready, but that's not it, I don't think. So the other thing, of course, is exactly as Woody mentioned. This is all subject to not losing the likes of Chair or Willock or Dieng. If we lost them, I think we really would be in trouble.
You say that, but at the same time, is it time? Do we need to take a bit of a gamble and maybe lose one of them to get those funds in, to get another player or two in to push it a bit further on?
Yeah, I never go shopping in the January sales though. Yeah. It's a tricky one.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble in the day. Yeah, gamble. You either hit or you stick.
Most teams around us will strengthen in January. I suspect we won't.
Yeah, we will do. But the difference is most teams have the funds to strengthen, have the money to be able to do that. Quite a lot of them still have parachute payments coming in and that big money coming in that they can easily afford to blow on new players. Money that we unfortunately don't have unless we sell someone.
Yeah,
it's true. We should be. I think we should be waiting until till May, and then start sniffing around whatever Derby players are worth having when they're relegated. Right. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. So, any other? Yeah, come on. I mean, they're not looking to. Is it -4 now? I think they are.
I think I can pass it now, but honestly, I know people will laugh at me. I saw enough of them. I think if they keep Tom Lawrence, I think they'll still. I honestly think they'll be okay this season. There are 3 worse teams in this league than Derby. If they can get some, honestly think they'll be all right this season still. If they keep Lawrence, if they lose Tom Lawrence, then bye.
That could happen in January as well. You know, as Woody says, when they get some teams go to strengthen their side, Tom Lawrence is not a bad purchase.
Yeah, I mean, I'd happily have him.
No, yeah, so would I. No, frankly, so would I. You know, there are a lot of players who you see that we play against. Most of them seem to be ginger haired for some reason. Who sit in the midfield and just pounce on the balls, move them about in a more aggressive way than Johansson does. I don't know where we can go from there, because Ball is the more defensive player and defensive thinking, and suddenly surprises you and then surges forward and then can score a fantastic goal. And you got Johansson, who occasionally comes back and you'll find him defending when he should never have been there and saving a goal. We are very much a mixed bag, but we are a team that seems to play together as a team. They do seem to play very well. If there are any egos there, they're only plastic ones. They're not real ones at all.
What would be my problem if they bring somebody in disrupting that? Because I do think they've got a bit of karma in the squad at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Somebody like, can you imagine bringing in somebody like Pogba or I don't know, Ronaldo or something like that? God, there'd just be so much ego. You wouldn't be able to get them through the door, you know.
We've been there, tried that, and look where we are as a result of it.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just about to say that it's not done us any good in the past. It hasn't.
Top of my head, Cisse, Barton, Remy. Any more you want to list off?
I see that today Barton got cleared of assaulting a fellow manager.
I've got a clue how he's got away with that. I've got a clue how.
He probably threatened the judge. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Well, the jury, to be fair.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it, by the way, Joey. Luckily, he doesn't know I live down here. Right. So I guess that 2022, final question, I think, for you. Are we on schedule for the playoffs? Will we make the playoffs? For Woody?
I said earlier, I think teams around us are going to strengthen. I can't see us strengthening. I think we've got a tricky December and a tricky January. I think we'll be just flirting with the outside come May. So I'm thinking 7th or 8th. Yeah, I hate saying it, but I don't think we'll have the stuff to push on with that other teams around us will have.
All right. And James?
Well, if we do finish 7th or 8th, quite frankly, I'll be really pleased with that. Because all of us want every season is just push on, progress. If that means playoffs this season, fine. If it means playoffs in 3 years' time, again, fine. Yeah. Like, if we do get in the playoffs, we've seen how we played against some. We've seen how we played against teams like Stoke, West Brom, and teams will be in there. Can we see us getting through the playoffs and going up? The answer, unfortunately, is I don't think we will, unless we do manage to strengthen. So if we get them, great. I'm not expecting, I'm hoping we get them, but not fully expecting it. But like you, I think the only way we will get there is if we can strengthen in January. If that means selling one player for big money, getting 2 or 3 more players in, if it has to be, it has to be.
Fair enough. So I don't think that answered the question of yet playoffs, yes or no?
Oh, I did say. I think we just missed out. Sorry. I just
okay.
missed.
Well, that's. Oh God, this is really depressing because I feel the same. I feel that we probably will be there or thereabouts. You know, 6th, 7th. It's going to be really on the edge, I think. Okay.
The thing I look at it, so if we were to make the playoffs, are we likely to be the team everyone wants to avoid or the team that everyone wants to face? The answer is probably the latter.
I think so. The one thing I would say is that, you know, like as you mentioned, James, year or season on season, we have been playing better and better. And that's down to Mark Warburton as much as anything.
Agreed, fully.
And when he's brought in new people in the summer window, they've pretty much been good or excellent. You know, there's been no real duds as far as I can see. The ones we brought in and signed, they are performing. So could he do it again next summer? I think he probably could. And that case,
he's done 2 years in a row. He's done 2 years in a row, so no reason why he can't do it again.
No, and that would be the promotion season, as far as I'm concerned. You have to go for promotion.
And at the same time, don't do it too early, because if we were hypothetically to get the playoffs and get through and go up this season, have we got teams capable of staying in the Premier League? The answer is probably not. However, a year or two down the line, if we really build, take it slowly and properly, basically follow the Brentford model, no reason why we can't go over and really push on to stay in the Premier League in years to come.
Yeah, I think.
And if we do go through the playoffs as well, you lose practically a month, don't you, of strengthening your team for next year.
That as well.
That would hamper us big time, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah, unless you're planning to keep the same squad, you're right. It's a problem. There's no integration going on at all. That's absolutely true. Good point. Okay, well, that brings us pretty much towards the end. So I was going to wrap up this QPR Hoops and Dreams podcast, or Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast, whichever way you like it. And I'd like to do it first of all by thanking my two guests, Woody and James. Thank you very much for coming on and doing this last one for 2021. Plus Northwest Hoops for his support and the excellent Hoops and Dreams Forum. Those of you who don't know about it should try and Google it and join it. It's well worth it. And also to Fox Fisher and Dave Barton, who've taken on the editing and will be adding bits to this that will really impress everybody, I hope. Okay, so thank you very much to all of you, and everybody who's watched, thank you very much for watching. My name's Brian Fisher, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a stocking full of QPR victories. Thank you very much, and good night.
You know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.